so much for joining us on this day, Sunday, June 23rd, 2024, for the Jamaica Midlife Health Society's second webinar of the year 2024, Preventing and Controlling My Mental Health Issues in Midlife and Beyond. It promises to be a wonderful afternoon, and we thank you guys so much. I hand over to our capable moderators, Dr. Lisa Kervin-Dawes and Miss Magdalena Cooper-Deneuve. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody.
Thank you, Sam. Over to you, Lisa, Dr. Lisa.
Hi, I'm opening, it's my pleasure to open this conference, Preventing and Controlling My Mental Health Issues in Midlife and Beyond. When I saw that, I thought about, we are all getting more forgetful. We call them senior moments. We wonder, is that normal or is it not? And this symposium today is to also help us look at our issues and see what we can do to prevent them, what we can do to actually help them if we're already having them, and when to seek help. It should be a very informative meeting. We have some wonderful speakers from the Psychiatric Association of Jamaica, both the president-elect, Dr. Kasara, and the past president, Dr. Wright. So it will be a wonderful evening. We are going to go over for our prayer. We always need prayer to start our meetings, to have God with us, to Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence, is he here? If Mr. Lawrence isn't here, Magdalena, would you want to give us our opening prayer?
So he's here. He's here.
He's here. I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
Mr. Lawrence. Go ahead.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. To Dr. William Brown, President of the Jamaica Midlife Health Society, Dr. Lisa Dawes, Assistant President, the Honorable Marigold Harding, CD, all other dignitaries, guest speakers, members, and visitors, I greet you this afternoon. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for your word in Isaiah 26 and verse 3. Thou shalt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you. We thank you for your divine, consistent, and persistent care that you have for us, Lord, and specifically for those experiencing the golden season of midlife. We thank you that you can be touched by the feelings of our infirmities, and we thank you for your plan that indeed we should enjoy this season of midlife and beyond in good and holistic health. We thank you, Lord, that you and ask that you bless this noble institution. We ask that you bless and inspire its leaders with vision and direction. Even as we gather today, Lord, we ask that even as we focus on mental health, that you will inspire our speakers today to share the critical and valuable information that we need that will impact our lives and help us during this period of midlife, that indeed it shall be our best life. We ask, Lord, that even as we attend today, that the session and the information will be far-reaching, and that indeed it shall have an impact on our lives, not only today, but going forward. We renewing our spirit in this time of midlife, that we may find new energy, we may find new health, we may find new blessings, and that indeed our families will be blessed also by our holistic health. We ask, mighty God, for your blessings and direction even today, as we give you all the praise, as we give you all the thanks, in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen and amen. That was powerful. Right, Lisa, Magdalena.
It seems as though Lisa
cut out.
Dr. Lisa, can you continue for me, please? Yes, here she is. Okay.
After the opening prayer, it's actually over to you, Dr. William Brown, our president.
Thank you very much. So I'm supposed to bring the welcome and greetings. So I welcome
Yes.
all present, our patron, our executive members, our attendees, our visitors, well-wishers. Just to let you know, this is our second webinar for the year, and we're looking forward to learn a little bit more about mental health, which is everybody's business. And we should remember that mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, how we feel, and how we act, especially when we age, when we're going through menopause and beyond, and even before. And this helps us to determine how we handle stress, how we relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is a very important stage of our life, from childhood to adolescence, throughout adulthood, and to old age, I should add. Over the course of life, if you experience any mental health challenge, don't think you are alone, because your thinking mood, your mood and behavior could be affected. Many illnesses are disorders. Mental illnesses are disorders ranging from mild to severe that affect a person's thinking, mood, and behavior. And I hear that the statistics is that about 2 out of 5 persons in midlife will experience some form of mental health challenge. So this evening or this afternoon, I welcome all present here. I welcome our sponsors, we welcome our patron, and we welcome our attendees and well-wishers. And we hope you take a good message home as you protect your mental health in midlife and beyond. Thank you very much. I think I'm also supposed to introduce our patron. To our patron, the moderators, chairpersons, JMH executives, JMHS members, participants, friends, and well-wishers, our keynote opening address will be presented by a lady. She is a medical technologist, first time hearing that, who received her training at UWI, an interior decorator designer, a horticulturist, a florist, and show judge at the international level, a paralegal and office administrator, a mentor to university students, and she has been a GP since 1982. Her awards and ribbons garnered from flower shows, both at home and abroad, are too numerous to mention, as I received a 3-4 page CV for her, but I decided to condense it. Too numerous to mention her awards, but at the top of the pile are several silver gilt trophies earned from London's prestigious Chelsea Flower Show. Now, as a medical technologist, she worked at hospitals in Jamaica and abroad. Talking about her never-ending civil duties, this is what she had to say when she was installed at the King's House as Custos of Kingston in St. Andrew in 2010, and I quote, "I am making a contribution and giving back to my country. Many people have in the past turned down such opportunities, and I see this as a civic responsibility." Now, even as a former Custos, she continued to serve on different boards. This includes interviewing committee for JPs, the GG's Achievement Awards Committee, Parish Advisory Committee on Local Government Reform, and the Parish Disaster Preparedness Committee, to name a few. Wow, wow. This fine lady is hard to really beat. But they say if you want something done, ask a hardworking person and you'd see the expected results. I don't know why Mrs. Harding combines, I don't know how Mrs. Harding combines her skills, effective time management, and focus on the larger picture of life. But I'm sure she has enjoyed and continues to enjoy serving and working, even for charity like ours, in the schema of her very rewarding life. Now, this is a boost for mental health. You hear? this is a boost for mental health. So I take this opportunity to once again thank you wholeheartedly on behalf of the JMHS for a continued role as our patron for the past 6 years. We couldn't have chosen a better person as we recognize her support in all we do. Thank you and welcome, Madam Patron. Mrs. Harding?
Mrs. Harding, can you unmute?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
You hear me now. I said you have been looking around to see if I could see the person who you were introducing. But I must tell you this.
It doesn't sound like you.
My man is to serve where I can serve. And there's only one thing I would like to add to what you have said, is that I'm also a patron of the Jamaica Down Syndrome Foundation for the past 8 years. And I take great pleasure in serving wherever I can. Now, our esteemed president, Dr. Brown, I must say, looking at your new hairstyle, you are looking so much younger. Be careful now, you know. My husband always
Thank you.
All right, let me just say, members of the organizing committee, distinguished moderators, distinguished panelists, good afternoon, members of the medical and non-medical fraternities. I consider it a great honor as patron of the JMHS to be requested to open this accredited second webinar symposium for this year, 2024. Since the inception in 1997, the JMHS has never lost objective to promote optical health for adults and midlife, ages 45 to 60 and beyond through education. JMHS messages have been reaching more people in recent years as persons seek better health solutions to their health problems through ongoing prevention measures, early diagnosis, various effective treatment modalities, and adequate rehabilitation. The membership has and is increasing due to the impact and fulfillment of JMHS's mandate. These accomplishments could not be achieved without the support of JMHS's committed sponsors, many of whom have sponsored JMHS's webinars consistently over the years, and JMHS's hardworking, exemplary executive, board members, volunteers, led, of course, by our dynamic president, Dr. William Brown, who spent their time seeking solutions and innovative ideas that will benefit the membership. Members continue to seek after good health and ensure that to educate, participate, and take effective measures in doing your health and well-being, in dealing with your health and well-being. Avail yourselves to the free webinars that are available through the JMHS and ensure that you maintain contact, build friendship, and offer encouragement, as it is at this time of our lives when we need each other. Most importantly, unity is strength. Have a wonderful afternoon. We will listen carefully to our panelists, and I'm sure many of us will enjoy better health care after this seminar. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure, a great honor to be with you all this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Marigold Harding. See, I think I'm having one of those senior moments. I'm going to turn it over now to the overview of JMHS. Hello, okay. Hello, everyone. I have seen some questions coming up in the chat about the pre-test, and I think Sam is about to put the pre-test out. So the pre-test question, Sam, you're going to do that now for us?
Thank you so much, Dr. Lisa. Yes, everyone. So the pretest is going to be in the chat just now. Go ahead and fill out the pretest. Of course, for the members of us who have joined who are not medical professionals, who are not seeking CMEs, we still welcome that you try it out for information purposes. It's a good way to know what we're starting with as an understanding of mental health, and then the post test will give us an understanding of if we've, learned anything for the 3 hours that we're going to be spending together. So currently up in the chat, you should have a link there. I'm seeing about 16 of you have already done so, started to do it. So we really, really, really appreciate it. And we're going to give you about 3 minutes before I hand back over to Dr. Lisa. All right. So again, I'll keep posting the link in the chat. And we just want to thank our sponsors while we're going ahead and doing this as well. So I'll have a video that's playing in the background here, mentioning the sponsors that we have. I want to thank all of them for continuing to support such a worthy cause and a wonderful organization, the JMHS. Person saying that the link is not opening. I've had 17 persons open the link and do the test already, 18 now. So please, the link is working. 19 now.
Sam, I believe persons who are using their cell phones, the link isn't coming up as clickable in the chat.
Thank you so much. Noted. For persons using your mobile devices, if you can't click on the link and it's not opening, can you try to hold down on the link and see if it gives you options such as copy, paste, etc.? Usually when you select something on a touchscreen device and you hold it down, it gives you an option to copy. Could you try and let me know if that works? In the meantime, please talk to me in the chat. Thank you again to our sponsors. I hand back over now to Dr. Lisa, who will take you through the rest of the session. The pre-test will stay open given the issues that you were having. Cheers.
Okay, thanks again to all our sponsors. We definitely need you to support JMHS and, of course, the symposium. Next, we'll go to two of our sponsors. The first one will be Abbott Labs, followed by Central Medical Labs. Sam?
Thank you so much. So for Abbott, I believe Paul is with us and Paul will be doing a live presentation. Paul, over
Oh,
to you, bro.
hello, Paul. Nice to see you again.
Let's get you unmuted, Paul. Yep, there you go.
All right. Are you seeing my Abbott A, or I need to? Are you seeing my Abbott A now?
Yes, we are.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon. My name is Paul Russell from Abbott Nutrition. I'm grateful to the JMHS committee for the opportunity to present on a few of our nutritional products. Now, Abbott products have been around for several decades, and it covers the span from infants, toddlers, young adults, and the aging and active persons. So let's just jump into our product lines now. We're going to be looking at first Ensure plant-based protein shake. And this is a good source of protein to support muscle health and a good source of fiber to support digestive health. Now, Ensure plant-based protein shake is vegetarian and vegan friendly. It's dairy-free, it's non-GMO ingredients, and it is soy-free. The proteins are 100% plant-based, and it's sourced from fava beans and peas. The product contains 20 grams of protein, 180 calories, and 5 grams of fiber. It has 25 essential vitamins and minerals available in 2 flavors currently, vanilla and chocolate, and the product is lactose-free, as we mentioned earlier. The other product that we're going to be quickly looking at is our Glucerna shake, and this is for persons living with diabetes. The product offers complete and balanced nutrition. Glucerna shake has a unique blend of slow-release carbohydrates designed to minimize blood sugar spikes. The product has 10 grams of protein per 8-ounce serving, and it has 26 essential vitamins and minerals. It's designed as a meal or a snack replacement. Glucerna shake comes in assorted flavors: vanilla, strawberry, chocolate, and butter pecan, and is suitable for lactose intolerance. For persons who have wounds that are very difficult in healing, there is Juven. Now, Juven is a therapeutic nutrition powder, which when mixed in at room temperature, water, or juice, has been clinically shown to support wound healing in as little as 2 weeks. Juven contains amino acids, arginine and glutamine, hydrolyzed collagen protein. It has micronutrients, vitamin C, E, B12, and zinc. and along with HMB, which is a metabolite of leucine. Now, the combination of these potent essential nutrients are necessary for wound healing. So whether the wounds are internal or external, in that it could be a diabetic foot ulcer, a surgical wound, burns, or pressure ulcers, Juven can help. And as we're in the summer period, and we need to stay hydrated to ensure our mental health as well as our well-being, there's Pedialyte. Good news, Pedialyte is now available for everyone, not just for kids only, but all. Pedialyte replenishes electrolytes fast, and they're now in a variety of products to help keep you hydrated. So whether you exercise or you're an excessive sweater, you're experiencing vomiting or diarrhea, or you're just suffering from extreme heat, Pedialyte can help. So I've included my business card. Should you have any questions, queries, or concerns regarding any Abbott nutritional product, I can be contacted at 876-489-6093 or by email paul.russell with 1L at abbott.com, and all our products are distributed by the CareMed Group. Thank you for having me, and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thank you so much, Paul. And next we have, by the way, my kids lived on some of your products, which we all knew.
Yes, I
They
remember.
lived on your Pediasure.
Yes,
But
I remember.
our next one is Central Medical Lab. Thank you, Central Medical Labs, for honoring Dr. Faye Whitburn. It was beautiful and well-deserved. Thank you so much. Next, we're having a testimonium from Charlene Devora James, our Honorary Secretary.
Hi, the name is Charlene James Devereux, a recent member of the Jamaica Midlife Health Society and its executive team. I became a member because I saw how impactful the information I received from the presenters, who are all professionals in their various fields of competence, is to my life. Women are not the only ones who experience changes at midlife. Therefore, men, who are an important part of our families, were considered. The knowledge that is gained in a day's participation is more than worth it, and you participate from the comfort of your home. You will learn ways in which you can improve your health in all its facets, and we all can benefit from this. Becoming a part of the JMHS is a win, as you never know which member of your family or friend may need the information. You have nothing to lose. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Mrs. Magdalena Cooper Denuse will take over.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Lisa, for your work that you've done so far in this webinar. Today, it's my pleasure to present our first presenter. But first, I found the following info on Google search regarding mental health, and it says, in general, mental health refers to your overall psychological well-being and the state of your emotional, cognitive, and social functioning. Our first presenter's biodata qualifies him to speak on the topic, which is preventing mental health issues in midlife and beyond, myths versus facts. So let's see what myths and facts you will learn from today. It is now my pleasure to introduce our first presenter, Dr. Brian Kazara. I hope I pronounced his name correctly, who is a graduate of the Campion College, and I can hear the Campion College graduates, doing the hoorays in the background, and the University of the West Indies, where he earned his medical degree and completed Doctor of Medicine degree and residency in psychiatry. He is currently a psychiatrist at Bellevue Hospital. Worked as a medical resident in the Department of Psychiatry at the University Hospital of the West Indies. Currently, he is president-elect of the Jamaica Psychiatric Association, and he's a former vice president of Jamaican Medical Doctors Association, and he's a former president of the UWI Philosophy Society. Ladies and gentlemen, all of you who are on this platform, I know you're going to learn a lot from this presentation. Help me to welcome Dr. Brian Kazara. Over to you, Dr. Kazara.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you very much for such a generous introduction. So we're going to talk about preventing mental health issues in midlife and beyond. So in order to do that, let's first define midlife. So the middle age is nestled in between two broad and often highly publicized age groups. So in the recent decades, we've talked a lot about child and adolescent mental health. And as a matter of fact, in North America, they talk about child and adolescent mental health crises. As well, we realize that in many populations across the world, we have an aging population. And so geriatric mental health has now also come into focus. Our population is currently aging as well. And so geriatric mental health is an important issue in Jamaica. However, in the midst of this, sometimes research and media may not pay as much attention to the mental health issues in midlife, but they are significant, and that's why we're going to talk about them today, and that's why I'm happy to be here. So if you look at the Encyclopedia Britannica, they will tell you middle age is between 40 and 60, and Oxford Dictionary offers us from 45 to 65. Now, midlife does have unique stressors. In this period, you'll often have older children, so children going off to college and university, and that oftentimes can bring on unique financial stress. And then also older parents who may have their own health issues, and that can also bring on stress. There's also greater work responsibilities because this is the period in time when many people are taking up senior roles at work, changes to their body, and we'll discuss that more in this presentation. Also, the onset of certain chronic lifestyle diseases like hypertension and diabetes oftentimes occur in midlife. And then also this is a period where persons have to come to terms with death, their own mortality, and this is a period in life where many of the persons around them may start to die. So I like to use the World Health Organization's definition of mental health. So it talks about a state of well-being in which the individual can realize his or her own abilities so they can achieve their full potential. But they can also cope with the normal stresses of life, because there is no life that's totally devoid of stress. So it's how we handle it. But also that individuals can work productively and fruitfully, and that they're able to make a contribution to his or her community. So let's look at some of the global and local statistics of mental health at midlife. So for that, I looked at some studies from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC in the US, and it showed that the percentage of adults who experience depression symptoms was highest in this order. So it tends to be highest amongst young adults, but in second place, we're seeing a tie between adults that would be in the middle age and then the elderly adults over 65. And then in third place, we have between the ages of 30 and 44. Now, this is the aspect of the chart I want us to look at. Again, it's just repeating what we said, that you see the highest amongst young adults, and then a tie for second place amongst middle-aged and elderly adults, with the 30 to 40 being the lowest. When we look at anxiety, we're seeing that actually as persons age, their rates of anxiety are less. So those between the ages of 18 to 29 were first, followed by 30 to 44, and then 45 to 64, which is again the middle age period, is about third. And this graph here demonstrates that. So again, these are the statistics in the US. Let's take a look at the local statistics. So I went and got a study from the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, and it showed that Jamaicans aged 60 and older are more likely to have depressive disorders than any other age group. However, anxiety is most common between ages 35 and 59. So that's a major take home, that across the Jamaican lifespan, ages 35 and 59, at least according to a recent study, is a period when one would be most likely to be experiencing clinically significant anxiety. So this is a graph from the Suicide Prevention Resource Center. And we're just going to take a look at this top part here, because that's what deals with the middle age group. And when we look at it, you notice that persons between the age of 35 and 64 had the highest rates of suicide. Again, this was in the United States. When I looked at a study that was done by Professor Abel, Professor Gibson, and Dr. Martin, some of my mentors from the Department of Psychiatry at UWI, they commented that global suicide is the third leading cause of mortality among persons aged 15 to 44. However, in Jamaica, it is not among the leading causes of mortality. So what they found was that the suicide rate at that time, which was between 2000 and 2006, was 2.2 per 100,000. So for context, if you look at Lithuania, which is an Eastern European country, their suicide rate was about 20 times ours, and Finland's, which is a country that regularly ranks within the top 10 in the Global Happiness Index, actually had a suicide rate that was 10 times ours at the time. Currently, the global rate stands at about 9 per 100,000, which means that our rate at that time was about a quarter or so of what would be the global rate. So really, we have a very, very low suicide rate, at least according to the studies done at that time. Nevertheless, there were trends that were picked up. Now, those between 65 and 74 had the highest rate of suicide. What we saw in 2006 was that men were actually 9 times higher than women to commit suicide, regardless of age. So this is just an excerpt from the study. Again, I really want us to focus on this section here. If you look at the trends across the years, you'll notice that the elderly age group over 65 were the most likely to commit suicide, but following them were the middle age groups. So what that tells us is that even though our suicide rate is low, the middle age group is a significant period where suicide can occur in our population. So this is a graph looking at substance use by age. Again, we're looking at American studies first and comparing. So you'll see that alcohol and cannabis use on average are just going down. All of them generally go down as we age. So we use less substances as we get older. However, you'll notice that in the alcohol section and the tobacco section, that there's another bump, another hill in the middle age period. So what this tells us is though substance use generally goes down as we age, there tends to be a notable increase during middle age, which then goes down into the later years of our life. There's also an interesting trend for opioid use. The dotted lines are for men. So we see men start using it more in middle age, but fortunately, opioid use isn't necessarily something that's highly prevalent in our society. Looking at a local study that was done by Dr. Lalwani and Dr. Walcott, some friends of mine, it shows that, again, as the trend shows, in middle age, substance use is significantly lower than in the younger age groups. And I just wanted to make a note that severe depression, anxiety disorders, bipolar disorders, schizophrenia, and alcohol dependency in midlife are important risk factors for late life dementia. So if you have these conditions in your midlife, it does increase your risk for dementia later on, and that's important. It exemplifies why we need to ensure we treat these conditions in midlife. Let's look at gender differences. So women report greater depressive symptoms than men, according to a number of studies. And the biological explanation is that women experience hormonal fluctuations in midlife, in particular, decrease in estrogen. Now, one national study found that perimenopausal women confer a higher risk for recurrence, but not new onset of depression, meaning that if a woman never had depression in her younger stages of life, then apparently having menopause didn't increase the risk, but if they did have a depressive episode in the younger stages of life, then it was more likely to recur. However, there was another study that noted a fourfold increase in depression in women during menopause, even among women who had no history of depression before this. So what this tells us is when women have menopause, it does increase their risk for depression. And we also see that reduced estrogen levels and sleep disturbances are also similarly seen during the postnatal depression, another period where estrogen levels go low. Now, I want to talk on the topic of male menopause very quickly because you may see it in the literature. So I looked at an article from The Guardian, and it says men see a decline in testosterone levels as they age. And this is known to be true. A fall in testosterone can be associated with depression, loss of sex drive, mood swings, erectile dysfunction, problems sleeping, and even a loss of muscle mass. However, the National Health Service notes that this is not a clinical condition. So I'm just quoting one of the professors in the article. And what he's essentially saying is that in the menopause period, women see a steep decline in their estrogen, whereas men have no equivalent physiology. Another professor went on to say that there's no question that in normal men at the population level, blood testosterone levels decline with age from the late 30s to early 40s and onwards. However, there is no precipitous fall in testosterone levels, akin to that which occurs for estrogen levels in women at menopause. So the major difference in the rate of change of hormones between middle-aged men and women is the rate of decline. Women see a sudden and rapid decline in estrogen, whereas men see a slow and gradual decline in their testosterone. Now, let's talk about the midlife crisis, myth versus fact. So the term midlife crisis was first coined by Elliot Jacques in 1965, and he was observing that in his midlife clients, there was an abrupt change in their lifestyle and their productivity. And Wikipedia will tell you that it's characterized by a transition of identity and self-confidence. However, when Dr. George Valiant, a former president of the American Psychiatric Association, did a 75-year longitudinal study, it was noted that the midlife crisis was actually a rare experience. And some scientists have challenged the existence of a midlife crisis altogether. One study showed that only 23 participants, when they were surveyed, had said that they experienced what they call a midlife crisis. But in deeper, only 1/3 of those, so only 8% of those in the study, said the crisis was associated with awareness of aging, which means that, yes, these persons were going through something and they identified it as a midlife crisis. But when they were further probed, they realized that this had nothing to do with the issue of aging or their awareness of aging, but was due to other stressors. Another example of a supposed crisis in midlife is the empty nest phenomenon. And this initial conception was that after decades of caring for children, women would be depressed after their children left home. However, the evidence sketches a differentiated pattern, meaning that when children leave the home, women react very differently. Some women find new roles to adopt within their circle of family and friends. And in some cases, spouses take on the opportunity to reconnect and rekindle interests. Researchers have found very little evidence for an increase in neuroticism in midlife. And neuroticism is what psychologists generally will define as heightened levels of anxiety, depression, and anger. Now, while they did find that some people were likely to experience some crises during midlife, these individuals were also likely to experience crises in their 20s and 30s. And these experiences were not unique to midlife. So that's the major take home I want to present here. You'll find that on average, persons who do experience a significant issue in midlife may have also been predisposed to it at an earlier stage in life. So if we see a middle-aged man buying a Ferrari or an expensive car, most experts will tell you it's not because they're trying to relive their youth. In fact, it's because when they were 20, they couldn't afford to buy a Ferrari due to the increased income that's normally accompanied by midlife. Persons generally can't afford expensive luxury cars until they enter the midlife period. So we shouldn't mislabel men who buy expensive cars in midlife as experience a midlife crisis. We should actually acknowledge that these were the same men who probably wanted expensive cars when they were younger, but simply could not afford it when they were younger and had a lower income. As well, if women are attracted to men who are younger, oftentimes an explanation for this is that they were always attracted to men within that younger age group, and that attraction persists into midlife. It's not that they're necessarily trying to reconnect with that period of their life. That can be the case. We're not saying that these things never exist, but by and large, that's not the psychological explanation that most commonly scientists will refer to. What's the duration of a midlife crisis? So I could find no scientific study that would look at the duration of a midlife crisis. I found something from betterhelp.com, but they weren't able to utilize any kind of empirical or longitudinal studies. They said it was between 6 months to 10 years, but again, there's really no strong scientific backing. And again, because the midlife crisis isn't widely accepted by the scientific community, trying to find information on the stages of a midlife crisis was also a difficult thing to do. Most articles don't come from respected scientific sources, but instead come from internet journalistic websites. Forbes Health talks about it following the stages of grief, whereas study.com talks about 6 stages. And then finally, healthline.com, when looking at stages of midlife crisis, admitted that many experts consider the midlife crisis more of a myth than anything else. And they talked about a 3-stage. So again, because it's not widely accepted by the scientific community, you'll find that there's no uniform agreement on any duration or stages of a midlife crisis. Now, let's talk about common mental health illnesses in midlife. We already would have touched on this during the first part of this presentation. Now, the most common disorders in midlife, mental health disorders in midlife, are depressive disorders, anxiety disorders, and substance use disorders. Now, in order to determine what are some of the things you should look for, I borrowed from the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the DSM, which is the book that most mental health professionals will reference when making diagnoses. And for depression, you should note things like significant sleep disturbances. They may sleep more or sleep less. Appetite disturbances, they may have a decrease in appetite or an increase in appetite. A persistent sad mood, not just a sad mood for maybe 1 or 2 days following a bad experience, but a sad mood that lasts at least 2 weeks or more that is experienced on most days. Also excessive feelings of guilt, hopelessness, and worthlessness. They might have what we call psychomotor agitation, where they're very jittery or moving around a lot, or psychomotor retardation, where they may move very slowly. Also, they may have decreased concentration, excessive fatigue, and even thoughts of self-harm. Generalized anxiety disorder is a common anxiety disorder that we sometimes see in persons in the midlife period. And this is characterized by excessive, not just normal anxiety. All of us get nervous sometimes, but excessive anxiety and worry that's occurring most days for at least 6 months. And it's not just around 1 event or 2 events, but usually a number of different events. In terms of substance use disorders, some of the things to look out for that I'll highlight is persons using larger amounts of a substance than planned. They try to cut down, but they're unable to. They continue to use it despite having social issues, and they use it despite having physically hazardous situations, or the fact that even when they use the substance, it causes physical or psychological issues. Now, there are also serious mental illnesses in midlife. We call them serious mental illnesses because it's not to necessarily trivialize the other mental illnesses, but these are the ones that usually lead to hospitalization. These can be schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or major depressive disorder, the moderate to severe type, and even suicide attempts. Now, it must be noted that these oftentimes occur before the midlife period, but they can recur during the midlife. So for schizophrenia, they may have unusual beliefs that we sometimes call delusions, or they may in fact see or hear things that others cannot, and we can classify those as hallucinations, along with very odd or disorganized behavior, or very odd or disorganized speech. They may also, for bipolar disorder, we may see persons engage in very risky behavior. We may also see just an increase in their general activity level to an excessive amount and a decreased need for sleep. They're not sleeping much, but they don't feel tired at all. They may also complain of racing thoughts, and they may be notably distractible. So we're briefly going to talk about the prevention of mental illness in midlife. So I want to talk to you guys about the 5 S's. So if we want to prevent midlife mental health issues, we want to encourage social engagement. The midlife period can be an isolating period, but by spending more time with family and friends, and even your other communities, church communities, etc., that's one excellent way to prevent midlife mental health issues. And that also goes on to social support. As well, persons should prioritize sleep. As mentioned before, this is a period that's usually characterized by increased involvement in senior positions at the workplace. And so sometimes we may see sleep deprivation, people staying up. Well, we know that sleep deprivation is associated with mental health issues at any stage in life, and that also applies during the midlife. So we're going to encourage persons to try and sleep more. Also, seeking professional help can be exceptionally important. Dr. Earl Wright, who is a veteran and trailblazer in the mental health community here in Jamaica, will be doing a presentation on this. So I won't talk too much on that. And then finally, substance abuse avoidance. I'm just trying to avoid heavy or excessive or unhealthy use of substances in midlife is another great way to prevent midlife mental health issues. So my summary, the midlife period is a period during which significant mental health issues are seen locally. So please, even though our focus should be on child and adolescent mental health and geriatric mental health, let's not forget midlife mental health issues as well. Our local studies show that it's significant here in this age group. Women and men's mental health in midlife are affected differently due to biological and societal factors, as we would have discussed. And the midlife crisis is actually not a scientifically validated concept. Most persons will not experience what we could consider a midlife crisis. Again, I'll emphasize, in midlife, people have genuine mental health conditions or mental health challenges. But the midlife crisis, which is this idea that people reach midlife and then want to change their lifestyle dramatically to try and appear or be very youthful, as this is associated with psychological distress. That whole phenomenon is not scientifically validated. And my last slide before we leave, just talking again about the ways that we can prevent midlife mental health issues with social engagement, social support, getting more sleep, seeking professional help when necessary, and substance abuse avoidance. These are all free, widely accessible ways that we can try and prevent mental health issues. That's it. Below are my references for each section. And thank you very much for having me. All the best.
Wow, you're an excellent speaker. I'm going to come to you for some speaking lessons.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Pleasure
I
to be
really
here.
appreciated how with the clarity of your presentation, and I'm sure everybody could send you what is it? Yes, I can see some hands going up as though they want to say very good. See them going up? Very good presentation. Any questions from anybody? I just wanted to find out what is it that if anybody has any questions, please ask them or put them in the chat where it says Q&A. What is it that we can do to help people? What do you think we can do to help people? You see, it's coming up presentation, fantastic. Everybody's saying what I have actually experienced. But what is it that we can do in our communities, at homes, and so on, to help people to understand that midlife, although there's no scientific definition, is something to look forward to? What do you think we can do about that?
All right. Well, yeah, I just want to emphasize again that, the midlife period is a period where people do experience significant mental health issues. So in no way should we ever undermine that. Just trying to make sure that people know that midlife crisis, specifically that isn't a scientific term. So the whole idea that people reach, 45, 50, and all of a sudden want to behave like they're 20-year-olds, not saying we don't have people like that in our society, they exist, but it's the minority, and it's not usually associated with marked psychological distress in the way that people would have you think. That being said, I'm really happy you brought this up. I think because we pay so much attention to the mental health issues of younger persons and the elderly, and again, that's appropriate. A lot of times for persons in midlife, it's almost as though, they are carrying the weight of society, and they're not the ones we will look to. They're not the ones that we'll be entirely concerned about, especially because many times these are the bosses in their office. These are the CEOs, these are the senior executives. So they are either mentoring the younger ones or they're taking care of their older parents. And that can be quite a stressful experience. And I think one of the ways that one of the simple ways is us as a community also taking some time out and saying, being thankful for this subset of the population, but also checking in on them, acknowledging them. There's a role for those of us who are not within this age group to play. So of course, for younger persons who may have middle-aged parents, they should check in with them. And as well, even elder parents should also check in. I think that those are some simple ways that us within the community and family can. And I think this presentation, this opportunity you've afforded me, I'm really happy for it. Because I'm, my mom's middle-aged. So I'm very happy that I was able to speak in this forum. It's important. And actually, by preparing for this presentation, I too, it brought into focus how big an issue it is and how underserved this community is when it comes to mental issues.
Yeah, so you're almost a sandwich generation then.
Exactly, well said. That's it.
Okay, so I see where there's a question here. How do you test for estrogen levels and how to improve it?
Okay, that's a great question.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to test for the estrogen levels, they can approach their general practitioner, or they can go to one of our public health centers and tell them that they have concerns about the estrogen levels. And usually the doctor will write a form that they can take to any of our laboratories, and then they can get back the estrogen results. So that's generally the path that we'd recommend.
Okay, and then there's another comment, I think more than a question, which says from Sophia, I think it is, which says that didn't know that it wasn't a real thing.
So again, I'm going to emphasize, there's definitely a subset of the population that may behave that way, but by and large, it's not like a uniform aspect of growing. It's a very, very small subset of any population. So yes,
So
it's not, it's more of a myth.
It's more of, that is where you're coming with the myths then.
Yes, it's more of a myth.
Yeah. Okay, so the last point I'm going to bring up from Sophia McKenzie, it says, I'm happy to hear that people don't just change like that, because I don't think I could bother with my husband getting up and having these crazy desires.
Yeah. The good news is that on average, it's not likely that he will.
Okay. Thank you so much for your presentation, Dr. Brian Kazara.
There was a question, Magdalena, I'm not sure you saw it. It was about asking doctor just comment on sleep and mental health.
Okay,
great, no problem. So just speak very briefly, in any age group, sleep has a huge effect on mental health. We know that sleep deprivation or insomnia are both associated with increased risk of depression, anxiety, even substance abuse. And then funny enough, if you have depression or anxiety or substance abuse, that also increases your risk for having poor sleep. So what I want to emphasize is that if you are experiencing sleep deprivation, which is when some of your intentional or conscious behavior is limiting your sleep, like you're staying up very late at night to work on a work project, I'm going to try and encourage everyone to prioritize their sleep, because in the long run, most studies show that actually when we deprive ourselves of sleep, it's counterproductive. It really cuts down our concentration and ability to focus, but at the same time increases our risk for mental health issues. For those who are experiencing insomnia, which is when you have sleep problems that have nothing to do with any kind of external issue, it's just that you can't sleep, you're doing everything right, you're going to bed at the right time, you're following what we call good sleep hygiene, you're keeping the place dark and cool, but you still can't sleep. For those who might be experiencing that for a long period of time, please don't just sweep it under the rug. It is a serious health concern, not just mental health, even physical health. It increases the risk of hypertension, diabetes, etc. So seek your doctors. You can seek your general practitioner or you can seek a psychiatrist to speak about those chronic health, sleep issues.
Would you, last point I want to ask, would you say the sleep deprivation is sometimes due to not having any activities in your life?
So it can be. I'm not sure that is amongst the most common reasons, but it can be. And what I will say to that actually is that one excellent way to improve one's sleep is to try and exercise regularly and exercise well. So when we talk about increased activity, and that, as you know, that also will reduce the risk for chronic lifestyle conditions like hypertension and diabetes that we know are unfortunately common in this age group.
And everybody should get at least 8 hours sleep. Is that correct?
Ideally, I mean, sources will say 6 to 8. I know the 8 can be very hard sometimes. So six as a minimum, and then eight is ideal.
And no heavy meals before you go to bed. This is my last point.
Yes, agreed. Something I read said, try and get your meals at least 3 hours before you go to bed, at least.
Yes. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed your presentation and this chat. And I don't know if everybody can open their mics, but it is really great. And thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Lisa.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Actually, we're going to go over to our sponsors now again. Our first sponsor would be Medimplex.
Yes, so we're gonna have 2 sponsor highlights, Midimpex, followed by Apotex, and then a testimonial by Assistant Honorary Secretary of the JMHS, Debbie Meek. So all those presentations will come right now.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. It is a pleasure to present at the 2024 Jamaica Midlife Health Society's second CME-accredited Zoom webinar symposium under the discussion Preventing and Controlling My Mental Health Issues in Midlife and Beyond. My name is Tangini Turner, and I am a medical representative at Medimpex Jamaica Limited. At Medimpex, we are committed to offering first-class products that promote healthy living. Today, I will be discussing Stimuloton, our sertraline 50 mg tablet, which is designed to provide relief from the most challenging symptoms of depression and anxiety disorders. Thank you for your attention as we explore the benefits and applications of this important medication that lifts you from your worst. Why choose Stimuloton? Stimuloton is classified as a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor (SSRI), which functions by augmenting the levels of serotonin, a crucial neurotransmitter known as 5-HT, in the synaptic gaps between nerve cells in the brain. This is achieved by inhibiting the reuptake of serotonin, thereby enhancing its availability and activity. The result is a significant alleviation of symptoms associated with mood disorders, including depression and anxiety. Sertraline, the active component of Stimuloton, is recognized for its potent efficacy among SSRIs. With its clearance from the body not being influenced by age, this attribute allows for both the plasma levels and the clearance rates of sertraline to be effectively and efficiently managed. Additionally, sertraline has a minimal impact on the cytochrome P450 enzymes, which significantly reduces the likelihood of a drug interaction. As previously mentioned, Stimuloton is prescribed for individuals experiencing depression, panic attacks, and obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. For the treatment of depression and OCD, the recommended dosage is 50 mg taken once daily with food. Full therapeutic effects are typically observed between 2 to 4 weeks. In cases of panic disorder, the dosage schedule begins with 25 mg once daily with food during the first week, followed by an increase to 50 mg once daily from the second week onward. The complete therapeutic benefits or effects are generally achieved within 8 to 12 weeks. The maximum daily dosage should not exceed 200 milligrams. For special populations, elderly patients, no dose adjustment is required. Patients with renal impairment, no modification of dosage is necessary. Patients with hepatic impairment, a lower dose or extended dosing interval may be appropriate. Regarding pregnancy, the safety of Stimulotone is not yet established. However, for nursing mothers, it is important to note that the drug is excreted in breast milk. Stimulotone represents an excellent choice for your patient's treatment options. It is priced at approximately $140 per tablet. However, with the assistance of NHF subsidy, the cost is reduced to $45 per tablet. Consequently, patients are responsible for approximately $95 per tablet after the NHF coverage is applied. This pricing structure ensures that Stimulotone remains accessible and affordable, allowing patients to benefit from effective treatment without undue financial burden. I would also like to take this moment to remind our esteemed audience of our other pharmaceutical products. These include Tamsol, Melaflam, Amlator, Cavington Fort, Cleon D, Sorbifor, and Curiosin. Each of these products exemplifies our commitment to providing high-quality healthcare solutions that address a wide range of medical needs. Thank you for considering our diverse portfolio for your healthcare requirements, and thank you for your attention.
Sit tight. Don't even take a bite. You don't want to miss the opportunity to win a prize in our Apotex Spotlight. Today, I would like to highlight our Apotex products available for mental disorders. Mental disorders are generally characterized by a combination of abnormal thoughts, perceptions, emotions, behaviors, and relationships with others. According to the World Health Organization on World Health Day 2021, close to 1 billion people have a mental disorder, and anyone, anywhere can be affected. People with severe mental disorders, such as schizophrenia, tend to die 10 to 20 years earlier than the general population, and 1 in every 100 deaths is by suicide. Now, there are 5 major classes of mental disorders: mood disorders, anxiety, eating disorders, dementia, and lastly, schizophrenia or psychotic disorders. Here are our Apotex products presently available to treat these mental disorders. Antipsychotics, both first and second generation, known as typical and atypical antipsychotics, which includes our apotrifluperazine, aporisperidone, and apoketiapine. Our selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, apoparoxetine, apofluoxetine, and apocetrolene. Our benzodiazepines are apoalprazolam, apoclonazepam, apodiazepam, apolorazepam, apobromazepam, and apoclobazam. These medications are used to treat a variety of indications associated with mental disorders, such as schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, bipolar affective disorders, and major depressive disorders with psychotic features, and many others. How do antipsychotics work? First-generation antipsychotics inhibit dopaminergic neurotransmission in the brain. They are most effective when a 60 to 70% blockade of the D2 dopamine receptors is achieved. They also possess some noradrenergic, cholinergic, and histaminergic blocking action. Similarly, the second-generation antipsychotics inhibit the D2 receptors, but also possess serotonin receptor antagonistic action via the 5-HT2A serotonin receptor. The reduction of dopamine in the mesolimbic pathway of the brain causes the cessation of the positive symptoms associated with schizophrenia and schizoaffective disorders, namely hallucinations and delusions. Here are some benefits of using our antipsychotics. They are very lipophilic and are well absorbed. They undergo substantial pre-systemic elimination when administered orally. They also have a bioavailability of up to 70% and are highly bound to protein plasma and tissues, between 75 to 99%. They are extensively distributed and are primarily excreted hepatically. Let's review our SSRIs. SSRIs work by improving the transmission of messages between the neurons in the brain. They block the reuptake of serotonin and increase the amount available for transmission. They are called selective as they affect mainly serotonin and not other transmitters. They are highly protein bound and have long half-lives, greater than 10 hours, and are primarily metabolized hepatically. Some of the disorders that are ApoSSRIs, apoperoxetine, apofluoxetine, aposertraline, are used to treat include major depressive disorder, general anxiety disorder, bipolar depression, panic disorders. We are now going to look at our apobenzodiazepines, apoalprazolam, apoclonazepam, apodiazepam, apolorazepam, apoclobazam, and apobromazepam. These receive their name from their structure, a benzene ring bonded to a diazepine ring. Benzodiazepines are indicated for the treatment of anxiety, agitation, and insomnia. They are also indicated for use in spastic disorders, seizure disorders, and to induce amnesia. They worked by enhancing the effects of the neurotransmitter GABA. They induce hyperpolarization by opening chloride receptor channels, thereby increasing the intracellular concentration of chloride. This presents as a relief of anxiety and overall improvement in mood. The benzodiazepines are lipid-soluble and have a high volume of distribution in the body. As a result, higher concentrations of the drug can be found in the tissues rather than in the blood. They are
Hello everyone, I am Debbie and I'm here to Hello everyone.
Sorry about that. Seems to be a problem with the video. It keeps skipping once it gets to that section. My apologies, but again, thanks to Apotex. Apotex actually has a giveaway for our two giveaways that they'll be doing. So I know Abigail is here. Abigail, please unmute when you're ready. Give everybody the instructions as far as the giveaways. And then Abigail will be, typing in the chat as far as the questions that she wants answered for the giveaway. So Abigail, are you there?
I am here. I will be asking all the questions in the chat, so persons can just pay attention for the chat for the next few minutes. And the first person to give the correct answer wins a basket.
All right, thank you so much. So I believe the next presentation that we have then is from Debbie Meek, Assistant Honorary Secretary for the JMHS. She'll be giving us a testimonial. I see that Dr. Lisa can't wait to hear it.
Yes,
I'm going to play it now for you. Here you go, Doc.
Hello everyone, I am Debbie and I'm here to tell you that the JMHS caters to individuals in their midlife years. I heard about this group for about a year or so ago when I was introduced to it by its president, Dr. William Brown. Since then, I've been to the webinars and I like the presentations, and as a result, I decided to become a member. Having done that, Dr. Brown invited me to be a part of the executive, and I thought, why not? This group is filled with persons who have a wealth of information to pass on to persons in their midlife, and so I would encourage everyone to be a part of the JMHS. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That means hopefully we'll have a lot more people applying to be members so that we can all learn from each other. Our next, I have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker, Dr. Earl G. Wright. He is an esteemed consultant psychiatrist, physician, public health specialist, lots of experience in mental health. He's a member of the Medical Council of Jamaica. He chairs the Mental Health Technical Advisory Group. He has served as the president of the Jamaica Psychiatric Association, held the position of the Director of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services in the Ministry of Health, leadership roles in Manhattan Psychiatric Center in New York, including Chief of Service and Director of Residency Training. He's a graduate of Kingston College and UWI and did additional postgraduate education from Columbia University, New York. He has an unwavering commitment to improve mental health services, and advocating for those with mental illness has made him a highly respected professional in the field. He also used to be head of psychiatry in Clarendon, and I've worked with him. Excellent person, excellent speaker. Welcome, Dr. Earl Wright.
Good. Thank you very much, Dr. Dawes. Good to see you again. And hello to everybody. Good to be back with you this year when I'm going to be talking about unraveling the coping skills and strategy. And what it's really we're talking about is techniques for managing stress and enhancing well-being. The key points we'll be talking about: the definition and importance of coping skills, the type of coping strategies, practical techniques for daily life, and I always come to the neurobiological underpinning. So coping is really methods and techniques of managing stress and our challenges in life. And as everybody here knows, the only time you don't have stress is when you are dead. As long as you are alive, there always will be changes in life and stresses to deal with. And why do you need to manage your stress? Well, to reduce the negative emotions and maintain good mental health, and to improve your cognitive ability, problem-solving abilities. Mental health. When you improve your mental health, then you're gonna, Dr. Kazar spoke about some of the common mental disorders. You're gonna prevent the symptoms of anxiety and depression, which it impairs how you feel about life, and build your strength, your resilience to face future stressors. So if you build your coping skills, then you are able to do better in life. And as you grow older, you will enjoy life, enhance your overall well-being and life satisfaction. And the research is showing that as you grow older, there is no reason why your life satisfaction should not improve. But there's another side. In addition to the conscious coping mechanism, there are unconscious coping mechanism, and these are psychological strategies that individuals use without conscious awareness to manage stress, anxiety, and internal conflicts. And these mechanisms help to protect the mind from unpleasant emotions and thoughts. That's emotional pain and discomfort. And I'll just name a couple of them. Repression, putting the stress in memories, thoughts, or feelings out of your conscious awareness. Denial, refusing to accept the reality or facts and blocking external effects from awareness. Projection, attributing one's own unaccepted thoughts, feelings, or motive to another person. And then there's displacement, redirecting emotion or impulses from a threatening target to a safer one. Sublimation, channeling unacceptable impulses into sociable, acceptable activities. Regression, this is reverting to earlier stages of development in phases of stress, and all of us do that. Rationalization, and then you have intellectualization and fantasy, escaping from reality. And these are all part of the unconscious coping mechanism that we use when a painful event or a conflict might be upon us, and we need to deal with it and not feel the pain. But it's important to focus on the conscious coping mechanism, the problem-focused coping, looking for addressing the root cause of the problem. And sometimes when we have a painful event, we have to use the unconscious coping mechanism to move forward. And later on, then we can go to addressing the root cause. And that's why sometimes denial is a very important coping mechanism. Because if you don't deny some of the realities of the situation, you might not be able to deal with it effectively at that time. But the denial should not last for an extensive period of time, because if you are in denial, you're not going to move on and address the root cause of the problem. Focus on coping, and this we're talking about emotional intelligence, recognizing what you're feeling and managing those feelings in relation to stress. So it's going to be very important that you recognize what's causing the problem and then do something about it. Temporarily avoiding it again is the least effective way of dealing with problems, dealing with stressors, and as a coping strategy. Again, making a conscious decision to break down the problems into manageable steps so that you don't feel overwhelmed and have to regress or go back to less functional coping strategies. Seeking information, gaining knowledge to better understand and tackle issues. And these days, this is very easy. All of us have smartphones, and we can look up get the various information from all over the place. And with artificial intelligence and chat GPT, etc., there's no reason why we can't gain whatever information is necessary for us to deal with issues. And time management, very, very important. Prioritizing tasks and setting realistic goals. I know there are a lot of doctors there, and the MAG did a survey recently. And 68% of the doctors, we had 232 responses. 68% said there are barriers to maintaining good mental health and well-being, good health and well-being. And the major problem that was identified was lack of time. And then we moved to other causes, lack of awareness, and financial challenges. And this is very important to me, because I wonder whether the lack of time should be a reason for not maintaining good health and well-being as a physician that has the information for maintaining good health and well-being. So what we're talking about is prioritizing emotional focus coping strategies, mindfulness and meditation, practicing mindfulness, staying in the present, and keeping calm, bringing down your cortisol level, bringing down your stress hormones. And this should be done on a daily basis. No reason. Nobody can tell me that they can put aside, prioritize a half an hour each day to practice mindfulness or to do what is necessary to bring down their cortisol level. Emotional expression, talking about your feelings with somebody that's trusted. Very, very important. And as I always say, it's getting it off your chest, reactivating the circuits in the brain related to that problem is absolutely important. And I'm not talking about talking to find a solution alone. If you find a solution, fine, but you're talking about it to get the feelings out. And if you can't find a trusted friend, you can always use your smartphone to write it or write it in whatever way that you wish. Relaxation techniques, everyone should do that. Deep breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, yoga. And again, in between patients, when you are alone, when you are perhaps in between some tasks, there's no reason why you can't bring down your blood pressure, bring down your stress hormone by doing breathing exercising and progressive relaxation. And in the afternoon, you can go to some yoga class if that's your choice. Also, some of the positive coping strategies, positive self-talk, encouraging and affirming oneself. And at the last presentation, we did a lot about that. And visualization. If you visualize any problem, then you are more likely, when you are dealing with the problem, to be able to manage it better and to be less anxious. So visualization is one way of building your self-confidence. And again, challenging and changing negative thought patterns, cognitive behavioral therapy. We all have our base thinking, our ways of thinking, repetitive thinking. Some of the things you think yesterday, the same things you're going to think today, and the same things you're going to think tomorrow, and the way of dealing with problems. And sometimes those are not constructive. So it's very important to challenge and change the thought patterns that are not being constructive for you. And physical activity, this is always a baseline. Regular exercise to reduce stress hormones and improve moods. Baseline, half an hour at least, to improve your overall health. And this research is showing that the more you exercise increases longevity. Healthy lifestyle choices. I wonder if everyone, you know your BMI or whatever you use to say whether you are within normal range or you need to look at what you are eating more. The conscious choice, making a choice to change, bring down your BMI if that's the need. And as Dr. Kazar spoke about, adequate sleep and avoiding substances. I ask individuals all the time, what do they do for fun? What do you do for fun? How do you enjoy your life? What enjoyable activities do you do on a regular basis? Very important to engage in enjoyable activities to boost your mood. And again, seeking support, talking to friends and family or support groups. In Jamaica, the many support groups are not very popular. I'm glad we have this Jamaica Menopause Society, Jamaica Midlife Health and Beyond, that can provide a support for many individuals. Building connections. Very, very important. Developing strong social networks. That's what's going to keep you later on in life. The strong social networks, because the more social networks you have, it decreases some of the cortisol, the stress hormone, and increase the brain-derived neurotropic factor that stimulate new pathways in your brain. And community involvement, participating in community activities and volunteer. When you do something positive for someone, you're not only doing it for them, you're also doing it for yourself, because we are hardwired to get gratification from helping others. So participating in community activities, volunteering is also an effective coping strategy. Now, each person has to make their choices, and it's a matter of combining different strategies to suit your individual needs and being flexible and adaptable to trying new things. One of the things the brain needs is new activities, new pathways being formed, and that will decrease your risk for dementia. And because the plasticity of the brain is not, it might decrease as you age, but you are able to form new pathways if you make a positive effort to do that. Try new things. And we should all make these coping strategies a part of our daily routine. So we look at what overcoming barriers, identifying what are the things that we say are barriers, such as time constraints and lack of knowledge. And it's my opinion that time constraint is really time management. If you are saying that I do not have time to do the 30 minutes of exercise or to do my meditation, then we're talking about time management. And if we talk about lack of knowledge, that's always available these days in whatever form you choose to get that knowledge from. So we're talking about you need to develop a realistic plan to overcome these barriers, and knowing when to seek professional support if your coping mechanism, if your stressors are increased, if you are having symptoms, mental health, or physical problems. Therapy and counseling benefits from talking to a mental health profession and looking at your unconscious coping mechanism. And if you are getting in the way, there are ways to change it. Cognitive behavioral therapy, structured approach to changing your thought patterns. And we spoke about support groups, sharing experiences, and coping strategies with peers. And I recommend a couple of books. This is a book that's been around for a while. It's a difficult book to read and to do the exercises, but it's a cognitive behavioral therapy. So if you don't want to go to or can't go to a cognitive behavioral therapist and you're having problems with your mood, having problems with anxiety, you can try this along with the other recommendations. And I know most of you will know this book, The Body Keeps Scores. In Jamaica, we have a very high incidence of adverse childhood events, and they don't go away. They affect the chronic diseases, they affect the violence, they affect the productivity, because the body always keeps score, and the brain has a long-term memory of everything that has gone on. I know nobody here can remember when they learned to walk before age 2. Very few people tell me they remember anything before age 3. Age 1, not much memory. And there's a reason for that the hippocampus that converts short-term memory to long-term memory isn't functioning properly. It's not yet myelinated. But the brain remembers all that has happened. And if you are traumatized, if you didn't have a good relationship with your parents, then later on, that's gonna influence how you see life and your aggression and if you have had a significant loss early in life, then you become more susceptible to major depressive disorder. So the body always keeps score. Again, this is a concern of mine that 42% approximately of physicians are not doing their age-appropriate screening. And the reason they give again, lack of time. That's the major concern. So that tells me that physicians need, and others too, need a time management strategy, or to investigate how they are managing their time. Because if you are not doing your screening, you think that you're not utilizing your health, you have health concern, then you need to do something now before you reach my tender age. All right, takeaways. Effective coping skills are essential for managing stress and enhancing well-being. And a variety of strategies can be employed depending on your specific situation. Regular practice and adaptability are key to successful coping. And if you are not coping well, then you need to see a mental health specialist. And it all comes down to brain health. Increasing brain-derived neurotrophic factor and decreasing cortisol in the body can have a significant positive impact on mental health. Both brain-derived neurotrophic factor and cortisol are influenced by a variety of lifestyle changes. Exercise, always there, healthy eating, mental stimulation, going on your vacation, but it must be a new place. Very important that it should be somewhere that you haven't been before, and it should be at least 2 weeks. Get quality sleep, engage in regular exercise, social connection, limit alcohol, sugar, and caffeine, and prioritize your time. Again, what you put in is what you're gonna get out. So if you stimulate your brain-derived neurotrophic factor, decrease cortisol, then you'll be better able to get your desired outcome. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much, Dr. Earl Wright. Excellent presentation, as always. The audience is saying so as well as your colleagues. I saw a couple questions, and I have a couple too, but let's start with the audience. Please comment on the value of church attendance and specifically small group participation as part of social support.
Well, church in Jamaica is very important, and church provides a major social support. And one of the things that I always say, part of stress is feeling that you don't have the support or the coping mechanism to deal with the problem. If you are religious and you think that there is a spiritual being that's going to help you through this problem, then you are much more equipped to deal with the problem than if you are not. And when you go to church and you participate in all the activities there, then you get relieved a lot of the stress hormones, and you increase many of your good hormones. So church activities are very important and supportive. And the research backs that up too, that people who have a religious commitment, especially in substance abuse, you get a better outcome than individuals who don't have a religious background.
Next question. Can you please repeat the name of the first CBT book?
Let me see if I bring it back up so that I can. Can you see my screen?
Mm.
Oh, no?
No.
All right, let me escape and come back. Share. Can you see it now?
Yes.
There we go. It's a cognitive behavioral book based on cognitive behavioral therapy. It's easier to go to a therapist and get your cognitive behavioral therapy. But if you don't really want to do that or can't do that, then reading is possible to help you. That's along with all the other things, the exercise, the good sleeping, the meditation, etc.
Another one. Could Dr. Wright show the flow chart again?
All right, let me do that. Yes, what we're really talking about is this is your brain, and you can make a positive effort to increase your brain-derived neurotrophic factor and decrease your cortisol. Brain-derived neurotrophic factor is what the brain secretes to grow new cells and therefore form new circuits. And then that will increase your mood, enhance cognitive function, and provide new cells. And this improve your overall mental health. I know many of the doctors will have wondered why it takes 2 to 3 weeks for this serotonin to be effective. And the reason for that it takes around that time for the brain-derived neurotropic factor to regrow the cells that have been damaged in the hippocampus and the midbrain. That's one of the major reasons for that. But also decrease cortisol, and therefore reduce your anxiety. And we're talking if you decrease your stress levels, and that's where cognitive behavioral therapy comes in, that you manage your stress, you reorganize your thoughts so that you decrease your cortisol level, that you don't get the cortisol damaging your brain and damaging other organs throughout the body. So you have overall increased mental health improvement and physical health, especially the chronic diseases, non-communicable diseases. Very important that cortisol, increase your cortisol level and decrease your cortisol level and increase your brain-derived neurotropic factor. And that is also important in individuals who have had a stroke, that you increase your BDNF so that the neurons can be regenerated.
Excellent.
Very important.
I have more of a practical questions. I actually do ask many of my patients, what do you do to have fun?
Right.
And I think for a lot of women, once they get married and kids come along, they forget whatever they did to have fun. Okay. So it's actually homework to go out and for them to try to do it. But I know for those who are suffering, who don't have a significant amount of money, there is a hotline that they can call, but they really need help. But I have sent people to the clinic, and besides, I think because the clinic is so busy, besides putting them on an SSRI, there's very little of cognitive therapy. Is there any other way for them to get it in Jamaica?
I'm looking through my window now, and there is nice sunshine. There is nice flowers. I grow flowers. I have a garden. If you go out, you can look and see lots of beautiful things in Jamaica. But you have to make a decision that you're going to breathe in the nice fresh air, especially in the morning. You're going to look at the nice mountains or the sea, wherever your house is. You're gonna, there are lots of many nice things. The nice sunshine we have, it's not cold, the temperature is good. The recommendation basically is to reframe and to look at a gratitude journal. Very, very important. Instead of looking at the glass half empty, you need to reframe how you think and make a positive effort to look at it as half full and consciously think of the positives in your life. Because if you don't think of it, you can always find negative. And there is nothing that happens in your life negatively that you can't learn something from and have a positive outlook from.
Thank you so much for that. I mean, sorry, I had to put on my camera and kind of wave to you because that is my mantra. That's what I live by, because Jamaica is so beautiful. And there isn't a place you go in Jamaica that you cannot see something beautiful. Thank you so much. I thought I was the only one who thought that way. So it's good to hear you say it.
It definitely is nice to hear that. I'm just trying, because I'm seeing more and more women and men coming in very stressed out. And I actually in office, and as you say, most of the GPs or internists, really don't have as much time to really sit and talk as much as they would like, their talk therapy. And sometimes I think just putting them on drugs may not be enough. You can encourage them to do what it is. But I was trying to see what other resources now are available in Jamaica, especially since COVID.
Well,
It
let me
really hit a
take
lot of people
something
hard.
Dr. Dawes. If you are depressed, how your mind works has changed because of the serotonin, the dopamine, etc. So you could, how you see the world is gonna be different until the serotonin is back to where it should be, and the dopamine, noradrenaline level is where should be. So in severe depression, you could talk until you are whatever. Just like in diabetes or hypertension, you need the medication.
No, they're getting the medication. I'm just saying that they
The
need the
treatment
others
is
too.
threefold. It's one, they reduce the stressors, and that's where the cognitive behavioral therapy come in. Talking about it, and they're in church. That's why church is important, because many of the priests, etc., are trained to help in cognitive. Although some of them run into problem creating malpractice, or what I call religious malpractice, but many are very good, right? And the other part of it is exercise. Because when you exercise, the same serotonin, you release it into the brain and help you to get better. So the treatment is threefold. It's not one or the other. But if it's severe enough, you have to get the chemicals back to normal before the person can respond to the cognitive or the exercise. They're not going to have the energy to go out and exercise until you get them out of a severe slump.
Okay. I was just saying, because most of these people I know are already been put on them. We have referred some to the clinics, but I think they're just overwhelmed. But definitely we can push as much of that as we can and help as many people as we can.
But you have to manage the stressors too, because if you continue to have stress, the cortisol level going to be increasing on an ongoing basis, and the brain is going to be damaged. So you have to decrease the stress, whatever means it takes to decrease the stressors.
Okay. Well, thank you again for that excellent presentation. I don't see, and Sam, do you see any more questions before we go? Oh, here's one more. Why and how does mental illness such as schizophrenia lead to a reduction in lifespan by the 10-20 years for which Dr. Kazara's presentation stated? Dr. Kazara, you want to take that one?
Yes, Dr. Kazara is that one.
Yes, I'm sorry. Could you please repeat the question? Just want to make sure I heard it properly.
Why or how does mental illness, such as schizophrenia, lead to a reduction in lifespan by 10 to 20 years, which is what Dr. Kazara's presentation stated? Not sure I heard that part.
Well, no, my presentation didn't speak to that, but we can talk about it for sure. So yes, persons who have severe mental illness, well, mental illnesses at large, firstly, and certainly those who have the subset of mental illnesses we call serious mental illnesses like schizophrenia, do have significant decrease in their lifespan. The reasons for that are multifaceted, but what most studies suggest, it's because twofold really. So firstly, when persons have a serious mental illness, unfortunately, it impacts their functionality in a significant way. So they're oftentimes not able to take care of themselves as well as others would. They're actually at increased risk for violent acts happening to them. And also that increased risk for suicide. So those are some of the reasons why. But in addition to that, we find that in order to stabilize a lot of persons with serious mental illnesses, we do have to put them on a certain type of medication. And generally speaking, that type of medication increases their risk for developing cardiometabolic conditions like hypertension, like diabetes, and even heart disease for some. And so because of that, some of them will also experience an increased mortality due to that. So those are some of the reasons why you'll see in persons with serious mental illnesses, they may in fact have a reduced lifespan. The combination of some of the side effects of the medication, increased rates of suicide, increased rates of being targeted for violence, and just the decrease in their ability to take care of themselves effectively.
Thank you. And I'm gonna take the privilege that says that's the last question. But one thing we're asking, the audience is asking, can both yourself and Dr. Wright share their contact info in the chat for the audience, please, or on screen? Thank you so much. Next, thank you, both of you. It was excellent. You did it well together. Everybody's talking about how good this seminar has been so far. Next, we have our sponsors highlight, Baypoint, Dolphin, and Bodyscape. Over to you, Sam, to set that up properly. Thank you.
In a world that is perpetually changing, we have become increasingly aware that the journey to health and wellness has many different pathways that overlaps with your sense of beauty, mental, spiritual, and physical health. These pathways must interact as you strive to live in a state of optimal health and vitality to achieve your personal best state of well-being. Bodyscape Spas and Earth Stores is contributing to the redefinition of the concept of health and wellness. We believe in health and wellness, not in its conventional sense, but as it should be. Our emphasis on holistic therapeutic services, natural and organic products, serves to support our clients in their pursuit of personal health and wellness. We know, despite the challenges of life, that they strive to live in a state of optimal health, well-being, and vitality. Our manufacturing division provides access to high-quality, affordable, and a diverse line of natural and organic skincare products, regardless of our clients' geography or circumstances. As a partner of choice, we are pioneering the way to empower companies of any size to leverage our distinctive supply chain management system to achieve strategic objectives. We do so with a collective spirit of resilience, driving forward until each challenge is addressed and every opportunity embraced. We are inspired by this moment of shared purpose because as Bodyscape, we know the way to inspire our clients is to live healthier and support business success.
So again, we just want to thank all of our sponsors who have played a pivotal role in allowing us to have this wonderful webinar. Of course, you saw the video by Bodyscape just now, and you're seeing a list of all the sponsors who have taken the time out to be so generous. Thank you so much. So we hand back over now to you, Dr. Lisa.
I think it's now time for the post-test question, Sam.
Sure. I'll share the link for the post-test question right now. Also, if it's not clickable for you, for some strange reason, it continues to not be clickable for you, you will get an email by midday tomorrow, which will have the post-test link in there as well. We're also asking persons who would like to do post-tests as far as CEs, so medical professionals, This is the med post test. And there's also going to be a link for non-medical post test. So for wonderful persons who have joined us just to learn about midlife health, we thank you guys so much. And we're asking that you just do this quick evaluation to help us know, what are some of the topics, etc., that you would like to see. So the medical post test and the non-med evaluation are now in the chat. Over to you, Dr. Lisa.
Are you hearing me? I actually just fell off the screen. So we are now going to have the video presentation by Miss Arlene Brown, Middle Age Bliss. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, we're hearing you clearly. Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear, but my page for some reason fell off. So go ahead with the Middle Age Bliss.
Okay, so we're going to have Middle Age Bliss, directed and produced by Miss Arlene Brown. It's featuring, of course, Dr. William Brown playing Michael and Dr. Arne J. Brown Morgan, who will be playing her actual role in life as a family physician, but she'll be acting in this one as a family physician as well. I hope you guys enjoy.
Yes, nurse, you can send me the next patient for me. See Mr. Brown.
Good morning, Doc. Good morning.
Mr. Brown,
Good morning.
Mr. Brown, please have a seat. So good to see you again.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
How are you doing, Doc?
No, I'm not in a bad way. It is always pleasant to see you, sir.
Thank you very much.
How can I help you today?
Oh, I had to struggle to reach here today. Boy, you know how I am. I'm very, very energized usually, making jokes, having fun with my friends and family. In the last couple of weeks, I find that I can't sleep well. It's so difficult to sleep at night, and sometimes when I fall asleep, I wake up so quickly in between, and then I can't concentrate at work. I'm always tired. I wake up tired. I feel like going back to sleep. Okay, this is really getting to me because it's affecting my work, it's affecting my relationship with my family and friends, and I'm really, really concerned. You know, men usually don't go to doctor, but this time I really have to come because I know you've helped me on several occasions. So here I am. Take me and make me over.
Mr. Brown, but tell me something. Are these symptoms recent?
Right, about maybe 4 weeks ago, I realized that I take my vitamins, but I feel so tired. By noon, I don't feel like working anymore. My friends at work are complaining, and in the evening I don't play dominoes, I don't watch soccer. Even the West Indies, even when they are losing and I'm supporting them, this time, nothing like that. Something must be wrong, Doc.
So do you think that perhaps it is a little bit more than physical? I know the pressure is there and so forth, but this doesn't sound like pressure,
Doc, let me tell you something. My boss recently is always, putting me under stress. I'm able to, come up with the answers in time, my work, my performance, but it looks as if it's going down. And the pay is not so much either, to pay the bills. I'm really, really getting worried. And the question is, why am I here on earth? Working for little pay, and the deadlines are not reached. This is a different phase in my life. I don't know if it's my age, if it's some blues or something like that. There must be something wrong with that's not me.
Sounds like you have it there. Little blues business, eh?
Yeah.
Maybe a little depression. A number of things coming together all at one time. Sometimes, when you're dealing with a certain age, the changes are happening in the life, and then you're sort of looking back on what you have done, what you need to do, if you are coping with your family or not. And sometimes it just becomes a little bit too much. And then we deal with something that we call depression. Now, depression happens, and it happens.
Dog, hold a second for me. I'm not depressed enough. I am not depressed. I may be a little stressed. I am not depressed. Depression is something bad. Please go on and use another word, because depression, we're not going to agree to that.
Well, Mr. Brown, when you feel bad, when you can't sleep, when you can't eat, your appetite low, right? That's a depression. When you can't sleep, the sleep low, right? That's a depression. When your energy levels low, that's another word for low, is a depression, okay? So we're having all these episodes of things in your life that are depressed, and hence the word depression. In and of itself, Mr. Brown, depression is just a word. It is just a word that describes how you feel, and it comes together. Well, all these things you've been telling me about.
So why is it happening to me? I'm just 51 years old, and I've always been energetic, having my jokes, interacting with my friends at that level, and now I can't seem to be interested. My interest just weighing up. Interest in everything, including the, you know what, at home.
Oh, yes.
And thing, you know.
And oftentimes that goes a little bit too. Do you find a little bit sort of off? Maybe sometimes, you know, when the mood is depressed, guess what? Even the sexuality gets affected, and that too goes low. Depressed as well, and you know, it's possible that.
So what can I do at this time?
So
I don't want to stay depressed. If I'm depressed, I don't want to stay depressed at all. What can I do, Doc?
Well, normally, when we're looking at it, oftentimes we suggest that the patient gets a little help. This help is twofold or threefold. It usually involves a little bit of medication, just to help you get started, a little lift. And often too, we can actually send you to a psychologist.
Psychologist? I'm not crazy.
No, sir.
No psychologist.
No.
Or no psychiatrist. Maybe a counselor. Maybe.
A psychologist, you know, is somebody who you can talk to. It's a fancy word still, because the person, of course, who you can talk to, and John Brown can talk to, and Myrtle Smith can talk to, all with their different problems. This is a person who has to have skills, because everybody's problem is not the same. So this is somebody who has had specialized training and is here to listen to you and hear what you have to say, and then to decide how best to help you. This thing where everything that is mental is bad or is mad, it's time to put all of that aside. You need to realize that being depressed or having a mental issue is like your pressure being high, your blood pressure being high, or your diabetes, your sugar levels being high. It is just an area of our body, the brain, the mind, which has been less explored than the other areas, the more physical. You can see, you can measure your blood pressure.
Doctor, I even feel better already. You think I really need to see a psychiatrist or psych? I feel better already. I'm understanding. I thought I was going to get a blood test, an X-ray, and stool test, and urine test to see if I'm really sick. Maybe I have cancer somewhere. and all that. But as you're saying, I feel better already just listening to you.
What I would say, Mr. Brown,
Mhm.
is that normally, you know,
Mhm.
there are other causes too of things that are associated with depression.
Mhm.
Physical causes, things like anemia, or if you have hormone problems like your thyroid is functioning low. So yes, we do sometimes do tests as well, blood tests. But definitely, you know, me talking to you one time and you feel a little better, but you want to establish a routine of building up on how you feel.
Okay.
A routine, the knowledge that you can cope with your boss, you can cope with the stressors when they come into your life. And yes, your family doctor can help, but sometimes you really do need to see your psychologist as well.
So can I say, because I'm looking at the time, and so can I
You need to
go and see
yes,
this
I'm
psychologist
going to send
counselor,
you.
and then see you in 2 weeks' time to see what the rest is like?
Well, we're going to let you see the psychologist, and then based on her feedback, I'll be in touch with her.
Okay.
And let me see how it goes. But I'm going to follow back up with you after this.
Thank you very much, doctor.
You're very
so
welcome.
we will.
Yes.
Excellent presentation.
Well, Mr. Brown, so nice to have you back in the office with me.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Did you pick up that prescription I left with nurse for you?
Yes, I did. I went to the pharmacy and the NHS helped me to fill it up.
Yes.
It was quite cheap, you know.
Yes.
Bear in mind that my pay is not so heavy. So that was a great advantage.
I'm so glad to hear that you are actually taking them regularly.
Yes, definitely.
As prescribed.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about your time with Dr. Stern.
Okay. So it was quite an interesting experience. So Dr. Stern had advised me on my time schedules, my sleeping times, my various interests that I wasn't interested in before. The last 4 weeks, I started to gather momentum, my energy level started to go up. I think it was a combination of things, both the medications and this piece of advice and the initial advice you gave me also. And so I started dusting my domino pieces.
Yes.
I started playing dominoes again. Went through the last month of Reggae Boys, which they lost anyway, but I wasn't depressed after that. And I feel so fine. I mean, I go to work now. I have energy to work and to start creating my jokes again. And I feel like myself, my interest is coming back. My energy levels are going up. I'm very active again.
And the thing that the counseling is helping you to realize is life happens.
Yes.
And a way in which you can try and cope with things. Remember, everything that's happening to you in life is not your fault.
Yes.
Things happen and we react to them, but it's not our fault.
Exactly.
And so when you get that little lift in your mood and a little advice about how to cope with stress, you find that you actually can deal with the situations which are occurring in your life a little bit, well, not more easily, but you can cope a little bit better.
I remember he told me something I should live in the moment. I think one of the things what was worrying me basically was the relaxation techniques. He gave me some relaxation techniques, you know. I always didn't live in the moment. I said, what if tomorrow? What if next week? So I kept on chasing things and no, live in the moment. Find a time to relax, relate more often, and be happy. You know,
positive.
Yes, that's what
be positive.
Said.
Your cup is not half empty. Your cup is half full.
Oh, I just had a cup in the first place.
Yes, there you go.
Right.
So it is wonderful to know that your doctor, myself, and your psychologist have worked hand in hand to give you a new start. And it is something for you to build on now. You need to continue your medication because remember, if I haven't said it yet, medication is something, it's a foundation, and it's not something you can take for like a antibiotic for a week or two. Usually the commitment is for several months because there's a chemical change in the brain, just like with diabetes, where you're really trying to reestablish your hormonal levels. So sometimes you have to be committed to taking the meds for a while and be committed to the healing process of the counseling that you're getting from your psychologist.
Thank you very much. So I will be happy again. I know we'll be happy at home. The other half also.
Okay.
Get back to normal.
Oh, that sounds good.
And as
Sounds
you know,
good.
Good
Sounds
to go.
very
Good to go.
good.
Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate
lovely.
it.
Lovely.
Excellent presentation. I think the audience was very, very much getting involved and actually adding some comments. We had the great actors, and then the JMH team was really good. Arlene Brown, who actually produced it. Excellent, excellent job to the whole team. Very believable and actually showed how you should deal with it. I see Magna watching. You want to comment, Magna?
I just want to comment by saying that's a new feature in our JMHS webinars, and I think it's a great feature because it brings the information that we got from the two doctors into real life, into doctor's office. And of course, in wrapping up for me, because I have no other comments after, it's great to be co-host with you again for today, and wish for everybody good mental health. And please, everybody, look for all the great things in Jamaica, as Dr. Wright spoke about.
Right.
Yes.
Jamaica is beautiful. We do have beautiful beaches, beautiful plants. Our air quality is still good. Over to you, Dr. William Brown, for our summary and closing remarks. And thank you, guys. We're going to have a full thank you, but I'm just saying from me, thank you all for being here. William, go ahead.
Can you hear me? I was muted. Am I unmuted now? Sam, can you unmute me, please?
Yes,
You're
you're
loud and
unmuted.
clear.
We can hear you.
So you can hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, because I didn't see the mute and unmute sign. I just see the video. I don't see the mute and unmute sign. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I give my summary, it's going to be fairly short. I would like to announce that before that, the skit, you saw that it was all the Brown family, Arlene Brown, Anna Brown, and then William Brown, who will soon be presenting on center stage. So don't worry about that. Anyway, so gift certificates, 4 gift certificates from GenCare. We decided that the first certificate should be given to the first attendee. So Sam, you should be able to identify which attendee, of course, not the executive members who arrived on time, maybe before time. That's 1, 2. We also accepted to give the second gift certificate to Morsi Tolo, our ever hard-working secretary who put all this together. All right, so deserves it. And Arlene Brown, our first producer of our production, the third gift certificate. Now, the fourth and final one, I was thinking, should be given to the first person who answers this question. And Sam, be ready to log in. The question is, when was JMHS formed, or the name JMHS changed or adapted from JMS? That is Jamaica Menopause Society. The name was changed, upgraded to JMHS. Which year was this? If you was watching the video, you would have seen it. So the first person who answers that will get the 4th gift certificate from GenCare. All right, having said that,
2 persons who said 2006. Is that correct?
No.
Nope. Next.
One more. Try again.
2001.
Try again.
Try again.
Look at the video.
That's wrong.
Try again. One more chance. If you don't get it, we may have to give it to Sam. 2007? Correct. That's the one. So that person wins the 4th gift certificate. Who is that person? Can we?
Basilia
acknowledge
Frey.
Basilia Frey. Congratulations, my old friend. Very, very good. You were very attentive and you saw the change. 2007, Jamaica Midlife Health Society was formed from Jamaica Menopause Society because we figured that we needed a bigger audience than just listen to menopause, which was very, 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 very challenging at that time. And it still is. And we still include menopause in our topics. But now we're looking at other areas in terms of hypertension, grief counseling, finances, and all that, right? Mortgages and all that. We've gone beyond even healthcare. So in summarizing what I have here from Dr. Kazara, which was very, very good, Kazara, I was really, really impressed. He mentioned that mid-age was has its own unique stressors, between early age and late age. And that time we're working, the children are growing, they've grown, they're leaving home, empty nest syndrome, family life changes, business, you have a business, finances, health, physical and health challenges. He went to statistics and showed that in Jamaica, over 60-year group, a lot of persons over 60 years would actually, he said the percentage, I can't remember, depression. And so is anxiety. But on the other hand, between 35 and 64, the highest suicide risk in Jamaica, but was still below the world rates. All right, substance abuse, he mentioned that also, alcohol and smoking. And he said that abuse decreased with aging. So as we aged, there was less alcohol and smoking abuse. Now, severe mental health problems, he said, in midlife would definitely lead most times to dementia in later life. Remember, if you don't deal with your severe mental health issues now, you're looking at dementia and other mental diseases in later life. He said menopause contributed very linked to depression, and so is the postnatal period. And as to whether midlife crisis is a factor of fission, we're not too sure because the jury and judge still out there. So we have to look at that. Also, the emptiness syndrome, if it's a fact of fiction. So the argument and goes on. He mentioned some common mental health illnesses that we see every day: anxiety, depression, substance abuse, I said earlier on, and emphasized on some serious ones like schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. And in preventing mental health issues, he mentioned the 5 S's, which I'm trying to commit to memory. And this, I should have asked that for another gift certificate, right? Social engagement, the first S. The second S is social support. The third one, sleep. The fourth one, seeking professional help. And finally, substance abuse avoidance. Very, very interesting presentation. Our second speaker, Dr. Wright, looked at unraveling the coping skills and strategies of mental health in midlife and beyond. He mentioned some techniques for handling stress and managing same. These practical tasks and techniques were very vital to our very survival. It's not just for prevention, but for managing it in the future, and that we need to manage our mental health as of now so that we can manage future and present stress. We need to manage our mental health properly now so that we can handle and manage present and future stress. He mentioned some good coping skills. If you have good coping skills for these stressors, we'll be better in life. And even in midlife and beyond, we will enjoy life and be satisfied with it. He also compared coping mechanisms, some which are unconscious and some were conscious. Some of the unconscious ones or conscious ones were problem-focusing coping skills or emotional focusing coping skills and avoidance coping. You mentioned problem solving, seeking info, and time management. And some of the common ones he said, in emotional ones, he said mindfulness and meditation, for example, emotional expression, relaxation techniques. At some point, he mentioned emotional intelligence, and what came into mind was artificial intelligence and how it's related. I think there's a relationship between emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence. He also went on and elucidated on cognitive coping strategies, for example, positive self-talk, visualization, cognitive stimulation. He mentioned behavioral, in terms of behavior techniques that we can use as strategies, is our physical activity, healthy lifestyle, hobbies and interests. And finally, he mentioned something on social coping strategies. For example, seeking support, building connections, and community involvement. And then the three areas that he looked at, these are three barriers to effective coping in mental health issues, how to develop them. One, he said, identifying the obstacles. So first solution is to identify the obstacle. Once you have identified, you develop the solution. And once you develop the solution and you realize that it goes beyond you, then you can seek help. Thank you very much. This is the summary that I have. And with that, we turn back to our moderators to finally complete the meeting. I think, Lisa, you're on board, or Mag? Lisa?
We're here.
Well,
Yes, I'm here.
Right,
But
we are
we're
doing good
supposed-
time. We're doing good time, so you can go on with the vote of thanks. Have you? Right, go ahead.
Yes, Dr. Arna Brown Morgan will do the vote of thanks right now.
Good.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen and colleagues. We've come to the end of a very special conference, specialized conference, which dealt with depression in older people, how to recognize it, how to prevent it, and how to manage it. We have also seen older people tend to be very, very hard on themselves. Having lived so long, we think we have all the answers, but we don't. Every age group has issues which are associated with depression, and contrary to what we may believe, we are not Superman. Coping with aging, hormonal changes, separation, death, chemical imbalances, loneliness, and even some sexual dysfunction, financial constraints. These just color the fabric of our lives as we age, almost without exception. We hope that this conference has helped you identify the areas of concern and how to cope with them. It is for me to say thank you to all our participants who have contributed to today's events. I'd like to start with thanking the Honorable Marigold Harding, our JMHS patron, for giving the opening address and bringing greetings today. We'd also like to thank our doctors, Dr. Brian Kazara and Dr. Earl Wright, for your enlightening and thought-provoking presentations, which have helped us and will continue to help us navigate through the coming months and years. We hope to hear more from you as you will continue to give us guidance. And we also want to just mention here that Dr. Wright pointed out that organizations such as JMHS, Jamaica Midlife Health Society, are so very important to coping with life stresses. So I appeal to our participants here to spread the message that JMHS is here and to share our links. We are a support group for the older people and the aging people. I'd also like at this time to thank our sponsors. sponsors of this conference. You made today possible. Thank you. We're thanking Abbott Labs, Central Medical Laboratory, Medimpex Jamaica, Apotex, Bayport Medical Lab, Dolphin Pharmacy, Bodyscape Jamaica Limited, GenCare, Skin Farm, Observer Newspaper, Microlabs. And now I'd also like to thank the JMHS team who worked so well together today. Dr. Lisa Curving-Dawes, who made opening remarks and was a moderator, and Mrs. Magdalena Cooper-Denuez, also a moderator. And we also had Mr. Alton Lawrence, who did opening remarks and closing prayers. Our president, Dr. William Brown, opened the webinar, brought greetings, introduced our guest speaker, our patron, the Honorable Marigold Harding, and he gave just now, a concise and clear synopsis and summary of the conference proceedings. We'd also like to thank our newer members, Ms. Charlene Devora James and Ms. Debbie Meek, who gave their testimonials. Big thanks go to Ms. Marcy Toller, our Executive Secretary, who worked like a Trojan in sickness and in health to coordinate and bring this entire day to its fruition. Many thanks, Ms. Marcy, and thanks to Ms. Arlene Brown for directing and producing our skit, which is meant to demonstrate to participants that managing mental health is multifaceted. We're dealing not only with the patient and the doctor, the psychologist, but and medication. And we wanted to bring that out in the skit presentation today. Our thanks go to Mr. Samuel Heron for steering us so admirable through the day. He doesn't miss a beat. Thank you, Sam. Having thanked the JMS team, I would now like to close the vote of thanks with a heartfelt thank you to the conference attendees. Thank you so much for being with us today from start to finish. We hope you benefited and will attend our third conference later this year. And I hope that you continue to share the news of JMHS. And I would now say thank you, everyone. I'm handing you back over to Mr. Lawrence for our closing prayer. Mr. Lawrence, over to you.
Go ahead, Mr. Lawrence. We can hear you now. Mr. Lawrence, Alton? Says that you're unmuted. I'm not sure why. I'm not hearing you. Hello? Not hearing you.
Okay.
All right. Technical
hear me?
issues. Can hear you very clearly. Perfect.
Okay, wonderful. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for this highly informative conference and the rich nuggets of information delivered. We pray, Lord, that mental health will not only be achieved, but maintained throughout our lives. We thank you for the medical fraternity who have dedicated their lives to helping the needy and taking time out to address the issues of mental health, which society in general often overlook or even ignores. We ask, Lord, that you bless this society and its sponsors and let it grow from strength to strength. Provide, Lord, the financial and human capital and recognition to upgrade the society, Lord, to institution, to international prominence. Father, we ask that you will stamp your seal of approval and blessings on all its goals and objectives, and indeed make clearer the vision. We ask, Lord, that indeed the Jamaica Midlife Health Society may in all its activities and programs bring glory and honor to your name. All these mercies we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Thanks, everyone, for joining. What an amazing webinar. Congratulations, JMHS.
Yes.
Have a
Yes.
safe afternoon. Remember, ice cream from Devon House always helps with mental health. Bye, everybody. Stay
Okay.
safe.
Bye, Sam.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sam. You can just bring some for me, Sam.
Have a good evening, everyone.
Okay, everybody.
Everyone. Bye.
As usual, love you.